WNBA free agency is always interesting and entertaining, especially when the big names make a big move.
I decided to go to New York because I want to continue to be great. I'm really excited to go after their first championship.
New York! Welcome to Brooklyn! A historic performance.
Hits that franchise record.
45 points. Embrace the greatness.
This episode of Building Blocks is presented by Intuit QuickBooks. It's hard to imagine a more successful and highly touted collegiate basketball player entering the WNBA than Breanna Stewart. 4 national championships in a row, 3-time AP Player of the Year, and the only athlete, male or female, to win the Final Four Most Outstanding Player Award 4 times. Now that she's a professional, Stewie's accolades still seem to have no end in sight. As the 2016 #1 pick, Breanna Stewart came into the league highly touted, and she has proven herself worthy of the hype. Rookie of the Year, fastest WNBA player to reach 3,000 points and 1,000 rebounds, 2018 MVP, 2-time world champion and finals MVP, and last season's scoring leader and AP WNBA Player of the Year. Stewie also became the first player in the WNBA with a signature shoe in over a decade. It is clear that Breanna Stewart is one of the faces of the WNBA. But where have we seen aspects of her game in the past? Where does she fit into the lineage of women's hoops? We start with her skill set and ability to stretch the floor, which was brought into the league early on by the great Tina Thompson. Throughout her 17-year professional playing career, Thompson was a 4-time WNBA champion with the Houston Comets, a member of the WNBA All-Decade Team, an 8-time All-WNBA selection, a 9-time All-Star, and the All-Star MVP in 2000. She scored on the inside and out, shooting over 35% from beyond the arc in 13 of her 17 seasons. After 12 seasons in Houston, the Los Angeles native returned to her hometown in 2009 as a member of the LA Sparks. Making a big move after great success with a franchise? Sound familiar? New York Liberty fans were beyond excited to welcome Breanna Stewart back home. Her scoring is an obvious reason why. At 6'4", she has great ball handling skills, a turnaround, face-up, and mid-range game that seem impossible to defend, and confidence behind the three-point line. There aren't many defenders that Stewie can't see over, but when she faces them, she can either blow right by them or twist around them. She contorts through the smallest of spaces, and even when off balance and fading away, her eyes are finding the rim at every level on the court. Thompson's ability to stretch the floor and score the ball lifted her to second place on the all-time WNBA scoring list. Stewie's ridiculous efficiency will no doubt have her climbing that list as well. But it isn't just offensive prowess that makes Breanna Stewart one of the best we have seen in the league in ages. She's a two-way player and a defensive juggernaut as well, with the versatility to defend any position. And that conjures memories of the lockdown defender, Plenette Pierson. One of the greatest to ever play in the WNBA recently told me that Plenette Pierson was so frustrating on defense. I can't say who told me that because she's competitive and doesn't want Plenette to know. But honestly, ask anyone. Plenette was going to get into your head defensively, and there was no avoiding it because of her versatility on that end. As a 3-time WNBA champion, Plenette's defense made an impact in the biggest moments for her team. Switching 1 through 4 is no issue for Stewie either. She has the length, footwork, mobility, body control, and basketball IQ to not only hold her own in any spot, but to be disruptive in any spot on the floor. To have that sort of defensive intensity with Tina Thompson-like offense, Stewie is an absolute problem. But that's not all. Stewart's mentality and confidence on both ends of the floor can be described in 2 words: unbelievable poise. And that brings us to Candice Dupree. Having a killer mentality and undeniable will to win doesn't always have to look flashy. Sometimes greatness is being cool, calm, and collected at all times. We've seen this before with Dupree, a WNBA champion, 7-time All-Star, and a reputation for being unfazed by anything. Dupree finished her career 5th in the WNBA in scoring with over 6,000 points. That efficiency on offense was coupled with great effort on the glass. She set a Phoenix record with 10 double-doubles during 2011, including 19 rebounds in a single game against the Sparks that September. But she always let her game speak for itself. Relentless work ethic and a winning edge can be paired with a calm demeanor and unshakable poise. We've seen it before, and Breanna Stewart shows us now. Ridiculously difficult to guard on offense, frustrating to try and beat at any position on defense, elite poise and composure, and a clutch gene to boot, Breanna Stewart is a leader and a game changer both on and off the court. She comes through in the biggest moments with millions of eyes on her, the most important pair belonging to her daughter, Ruby. Stewart continues to break barriers and set an example of what greatness and humility looks like, not only for Ruby, but for all of us. And with that, we welcome in ESPN women's basketball reporter, writer. She does a little bit of everything, Alexa Philippou. Alexa, thank you for joining me. I know we had a phenomenal conversation about A'ja Wilson. I'm so excited to chat with you about Breanna Stewart because, again, so many great players in our league, but you can't say enough about Breanna Stewart. When you think of Stewie, what comes to your mind first and foremost?
Just that she's a champion at every level. And we saw that obviously with what she did at college, winning 4 national titles at UConn and taking home the most outstanding player each of those tournaments, each of those Final Fours, I should say. And then obviously continuing that on to the level that she's at now. She's won 2 titles with the Storm. And then we'll see if she can do the same with the Liberty. But even overseas as an Olympian, she's just a champion. She's just won wherever she's gone. So that's something that even though she still has, a lot of her career ahead of her, she's already left her mark in that way. And it's really exciting to see a player that just can go, when she's in a finals or she's in a championship setting, that she is just going to play at the highest level and help her team to victory. So that's been a really fun part of watching her game over the years.
And even playing with injuries and not being healthy all of the time and having to miss seasons and coming back from missing seasons, right? Like they win in 2018 and then she's injured and then she comes back from injury and they win in 2020. And that's her time in Seattle, Rookie of the Year, MVP. She is just a winner. It's when she's on a team, I feel like she does whatever it takes to win, but it doesn't even, it's weird. I had her return game to Seattle, right? And first half, she has 8 points. And then second half, you look up and she's got 25 points. And you're like, it's not like it's overbearing what she does on the court, but it's almost like you won't even realize it sometimes. You're just like, oh my gosh, she has 30 points. The way she goes about who she is as a person and how she plays the game, it just ends up in wins almost every single time. It's remarkable.
Really exciting to see what she can do in New York. I know she's talked about wanting to help push the needle forward in terms of where the league can go. And she made charter flights a big part of her free agency decision. And she felt that the size, who are the owners of the Liberty, and that their whole organization was aligned with trying to get the league to move to a place where maybe they could charter more games and really just make the league a place that is going to really treat its athletes right. And the Liberty, she felt like, have done that and have shown that in different ways. And I know, speaking to her ahead of the season, that even something as simple as, regular food available for the athletes before practice, after practice, and there are these very legendary smoothies apparently that the Liberty have for their players, and stuff like that is the things that she wants to see all the teams in the league adapt. And they're eventually maybe going to be able to do that. But she saw her role and choosing that in free agency, something that could help maybe raise the standard across the board. So yeah, I'm curious what you've seen from her specifically too, in her game, of how she's really affected the Liberty so far and what she'll be able to do? I know they're still trying to mesh all the pieces together and they have so much talent, but what have you noticed or what's impressed you most about what Breanna Stewart has looked like on the New York Liberty?
It's been amazing. I mean, when we talk about her career, she averaged 20 points per game in her 6 seasons that she played in Seattle. And she's elevated that, in my opinion. Like, think of all the years that she had in Seattle. And instead of like jumping off of those and starting over in New York, it's like she just goes up, right, in New York, right? She just builds on all of the years that she's had. And that's not easy to do, right? In a new place, new teammates, even though her teammates are incredibly talented. Like, New York is stacked. They have, their starters are so talented, but they have quality depth as well, coming off of the bench with a lot of experience and a lot of size and a lot of athleticism. So I like this New York team. What I think has been really telling about the player that Breanna Stewart is and the person that she is how willing everyone is right away to buy into her being the key, right? Like, her being the centerpiece, her being the main factor and kind of that go-to player. Like, that was one of my biggest questions, was how will Sabrina Ionescu handle sharing some of the responsibility of getting wins for this team? How will Betnijah Laney handle her role completely changing? How will, Sloot play with Stewie and all of those things? And I know you were at the game against Connecticut. Were you present? Like, what vibe did you feel from the fans, from the people in New York, for Stewie, but also like for the team?
The third quarter alone, which was when the Liberty really shifted the momentum in their favor and kind of started to run away at the game, was a quarter where Stewie had 4 steals and a block. And a single quarter. It was just, and it wasn't just her, it was Kayla Thornton too, was really getting involved. But I really am interested in that aspect of what Stewie can help New York build on the defensive end, because we know they have a lot of scorers, but if they can defend really well, and she can be part of that, Jonquel Jones can be part of that, Betnijah Laney, Kayla Thornton, then that's a really interesting complexity that is added on to a team that's already looking really tough to beat on paper.
When you think about Breanna Stewart in the market of New York City, with the fans in New York City, with that team, like, looking forward, where do you see her career going, blossoming, growing, outside of helping that team on defense and helping that team win? Like, what can she do really in New York?
Yeah, well, I think that's the exciting part, is that I know there's so many opportunities that come with being in New York. It's something even a player like Jonquel Jones brought up to me as one of the reasons why she wanted to request a trade to there specifically. But you have an already really recognizable face of the game going to be playing in a really good team in the biggest sports market in the country. I think it's going to mean we see her kind of even more all over the place in terms of both basketball and sports specific, areas, but maybe even beyond that. And I think also, from the outside looking in, Breanna Stewart has become more comfortable with her own voice and being even, a little bit of embracing activism, I guess is a way you could say it, in a way that maybe she wasn't before early on in her career. So I would assume that she wants to use her platform for good things and to enact change, both at the women's basketball WNBA level, but also societally. So I think it will be really interesting to see. And one of the ways that she wants to do that too, though, is bring eyeballs, bring fans to games by putting out a great product on the court. And she wants to win that first franchise championship for the Liberty. And that is something, whether or not that happens this year or the years moving forward, that she certainly would be a big piece in making that happen. So I think she's going to have a really fascinating kind of, I don't want to say tail end of her career, because by no means is she old, but next chapter of her career. We won't, act like we're seeing, the last of Stewie by any means, but this next chapter should be really thrilling. And I'm curious where you think too, when we talk about what her legacy could be long-term, or even what the legacy she's already set at this level, or even just with her career in general, like what comes to mind for you when we talk about that?
I think that city will really rally around the Liberty, right? The Barclays Center fills up. The fans are passionate about basketball. You mentioned activism. Like, I see Stewie and her wife and their children literally on a billboard in New York, right? Like, I see it. I don't know why, but I can see it. And I can see people in that city looking up and seeing a, same-sex family and a star athlete with her kids, and just the impact that alone has on shifting the mindset of the way that people view WNBA players, the way people view same-sex families, the way people view female athletes in general. Like, I see all of that just growing in such a positive way, not only because of the player that Stewie is, but because of the person that she is. Like, it is just so easy to talk to her and feel connected to her and feel like you know her. I see, maybe I'm trying to speak this into existence, but I see NBA players wearing her shoe on the court because her shoe is incredibly comfortable. So I see NBA players for whoever, the Nets, the Knicks, rocking Stewie's shoe. And I mean, I just see it. I see it going, you know, so far. Like, you could see her on all of the different shows that are produced in New York, all of the different events that are in New York, like Stewie being one of the faces just to reach the people of that city and connect to them. I think will be really, really special. I'm excited. She's a special player. She's a special person. So I'm excited. I'm excited for Stewie. Thanks for joining me. I love chatting about these great players with you.
Yeah, same with you. And I can't wait for our next one.
I know. All right. See ya. This episode of Building Blocks is presented by Intuit QuickBooks. Manage your business with confidence.